Jambo, friends. Jambo is the Swahili word for hello. Swahili is a language that's spoken in many parts of eastern and southeastern Africa. It is pronounced Swahili. You can teach it to your grown-ups. They'll be very impressed. Today we're going to learn the final way to help us think about what we're reading as we're reading. It is the third and final part of our category called making connections. So today we're going to be talking about something called text to world. Before we do, I want to remind you of the two strategies we've learned so far. The first one we have is making connections text to self. It reminds me of a time when, and my two connections were, my text was Alice in Wonderland. There was a big and little sibling, so Alice was the little one, her sister was the big one. It connected with me because I had the same thing, except I'm a boy and I'm an older boy, and the little one is a little girl. So there's one connection I had. Another one we said was Alice saw a rabbit in the story. And for me, I also saw a rabbit. I put rabbit saw, but that's okay. I wanted to try it out with pictures and words. So that was making connections to text to self. Our next version was making connections text to text. When we do text to text, we connect one book with what we're reading to another book that we've read. The whole book or either part of a book or characters in a book like I did. So here, I'm reading Alice in Wonderland, and in one of our parts, Alice found herself in a new place, away from home. That reminded me of another book called Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy found herself in a new place, away from home. Okay, and I did D and A just because I didn't want to spell Dorothy and Alice, because it might be hard for me. Maybe I'm sounding it out. But I invite you to try it out. Another connection I had was she, meaning Alice, because it's in my Alice box. Alice wants to go home, or she wants to go home. She wants to leave this strange place and go back to where she's from. That reminded me, too, because in the Wizard of Oz book, Dorothy wanted to go home. We know her home was back in Kansas. She wanted to leave Oz and get back to Kansas. So both young girls wanted to leave where they were and come back to where they are. Today, we're going to learn about a third and final strategy called, let's see if I can put this up here, text to world. Now with text to world, it reminds me of something in the world, and then we continue that sentence. So when we're thinking about text to world, we really want to think about what we're reading, and it can either be a connection to what's happening in the world right now, or it could be something that's happened in the past. Again, I can remind you as we're reading about the two ways you can show your thinking. One is by using a chart, a paper chart like I have on our attachments, or again using our Post-its. Okay? For today's Post-its, I'm choosing to do a third and final color. This is just for me. Again, you can choose the same color Post-its. You can choose other color Post-its. It's up to you. My text-to-self Post-its are yellow. My text-to-text Post-its are pink. And I think my text-to-world Post-its are going to be blue. So text-to-world is a little bit hard, so I might have to stretch my thinking, and it's okay if you actually don't have a text-to-text, or text-to-self, or text-to-world in every time you read. So, just want to put that in there. So last time we left off with Alice reading the words "drink me" on a potion she found on the table. It was all very well to say "drink me," but the wise little Alice was not in a hurry to do that. "No, I'll look first," Alice said, "to see whether it's marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little stories about children who got burnt or eaten up by wild beasts or other unpleasant things because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as, when you see a red-hot poker, don't touch it because it will burn you. Or, if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds. And she never forgot those life's lessons. This actually, I have a connection around the world. So I'm going to get my Post-its here, and I'm going to go to my cover. I'm kind of using it as a little table as I write, because it's hard to write like this. And for me, it's page 5. So again, in the corner, I will put the page number, just like we've always been doing. And next, I'm going to do text to world. So text. And I like my arrows going both ways. Text to world. Okay? And so when I'm doing my text to world, My connection is that when I'm at a pool and I'm swimming, or when we're making our classroom agreements and things, I know that there are some rules that we should follow. They kind of give good advice, or I know that grown-ups give kids good advice when they're out in the world. So Alice is remembering her advice of, don't drink me, I might be marked poison. I know sometimes when I'm at the pool and it says no running by the pool, you don't want to get hurt. It reminds me of icy advice of how to keep safe all around me as well. So I'm going to say advice. Ice. Advice. There we go. I'm sounding it out. Advice. Okay? And maybe I can draw the little bottle of poison she's supposed to do. Alice's poison, and maybe I don't know. I'm going to cross that out because I can't think right now. So text to world is advice. She's getting advice from the bottle, and I get advice when I'm at places of how to keep safe or how to behave. So that's one text to world connection I'm making. I'm going to stick that right in my book, and I'm going to keep reading a little further. I'm on to page 6 now. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice decided to taste it, and she realized it had a kind of an interesting flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and buttered hot toast. She found herself finishing the whole bottle. What a strange feeling, said Alice. I must be starting to shrink up like a telescope. And so it was indeed. She now found herself to be only 10 inches high. Her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for fitting through the tiny door and into the lovely garden. First, however, she needed to wait a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She was nervous about this. For if it might end, she thought to herself, if me going out altogether, like a candle, I wonder what would happen to me then. After a while, nothing more had happened, so she decided to go towards the garden door. But alas, she had forgotten that the little golden key was high above the glass table. She went back and tried to climb it up, but because it was glass, it was very slippery, and she tired herself from trying out. After a while, the poor little thing sat down and began to cry. Come on, there's no use in crying like that, said Alice to herself rather sharply. I advise you to stop this 1 minute. She liked to give herself good advice. But before she knew it, she couldn't stop crying. It's no use to cry now. I cannot be two people, she says when she realized she was talking to herself. After a few minutes, her eyes fell upon a little glass box that was lying right below her, next to her knees. She opened it and found a very small cake with the words, "Eat me," beautifully marked in currants. Currants are kind of like a something you can eat, kind of like a seed or a berry kind of thing. Well, I'll eat it, said Alice. If it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. Either way, I'm getting into that garden. She ate a little bit, and she sat there thinking, which way, holding up her hand to the top of her head to see if she would go higher or if she would go lower. Alice was quite surprised that she remained the same size. To be sure, this is generally what happens when one eats cake. And Alice had no way of knowing what was going to happen next, so she decided that she was tired of waiting, and pretty soon she finished eating the whole little cake. That's the end of chapter 1, and actually on page 7, I do have another text-to-world connection. So I'll put my page 7, and my connection to text-to-world is this. Let me do my page 7, as we've been doing. Text T with my arrows going both ways to world. My text-to-world connection is on the little cake, it had the words "eat me." I know when I go to bakeries in San Francisco, in Palm Springs, in New York, all over the world, I like to eat sweets. And I know that when I go into some bakeries, sometimes they have beautiful patterns on them, or they have words. I know whenever I have a birthday cake, there are words, say happy birthday, written across the top. So text to world is, in the book, Alice had a little cake that said, "eat me." So maybe I'll do like a little cake that's just has some words. Now, I drew a little cake. To me, that's a cake. And I didn't write the words eat me. I just kind of did some squiggly lines to show that it's words. Or maybe I can say words. Or I can try to write eat me. Let's see, eat me, eat me on the little cake. And that reminds me of that, like when I'm going to a pastry shop or I'm getting a birthday cake, there are words on my pastries too. So maybe I'll do a bigger cake here. And I might show it's a birthday cake with candles. And I might say, happy birthday, HBD. Happy birthday. And say words on cake. In the world around me, whenever I go out to pastry shops or to other stores that sell some delicious food, sometimes they have words on them too. I see them when I'm out and about. So that's my connection on my Post-it. I'm going to stick that in my book. Now, friends, we're ready to move on to, if you choose to not do the Post-its, how you can do them on our charts. So my first connection to text to world, here's our chart again. I'm going to move this up just a little bit, friends, so we can have some room. Okay, my first book is Alice. And here we have the little book sign, so I'm going to put my Alice book. I'll just write Alice. And then here I have the globe, a world. I'm still learning how to draw the world, so I'll just put world. And we have our arrows going back and forth, showing all the different connections we have from our book to what's going on around us. So one thing that happened is in Alice in Wonderland, she was listening to advice. Drink me. Should I drink it? I don't know. I have to check and see if it's marked poison. All right, I'll put advice. 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 And maybe even I put poison. Poison. Okay? And in the real world, I get like advice, like when I'm at the pool, don't run, or if I'm in the movies, don't talk. So I'll do my advice. Maybe like, shh, or no running. Why not the pool? So advice for her is don't drink anything marked poison. And in the world, I get advice to be quiet in some places or not to run, so I'm being safe for me and for others. And my next connection is with in Alice in Wonderland. She was having some delicious desserts that had some writing on it. It was words on cake. And in the world around me, I also see cake with words. Words on, I can say cake with words, or words on cake. Words on cake. Happy birthday, maybe happy anniversary. It can be maybe a holiday if you celebrate that. Next time you're at a bakery, see if you see some words on cakes. So here are 2 ways to make text-to-world connections. It reminds me of something in the world where we both get advice and we both see writing on some food. Okay? So you can do it on your papers that I assigned to you on our assignment for today, or when you're making Post-its in your book, you can go ahead and do their Post-its just like we did here today. Words, eat me on the little cake, and happy birthday. I did happy birthday, BD, HBD, words on cake. Okay, my other one here is advice. We both got advice in the world. Okay, friends, I hope you give it a go. Have fun with this, and I can't wait to see some of your Post-its if you choose to share them with me. Off you pop.